What's up, everybody? George the Disney Italiano here, coming with my boys OG, and for the first time ever, Mr. Webba, our favorite neighborhood-friendly Spider-Man. Try saying that 3 times fast. So we are here at DCA, right by Smoke Jumper's Grill, which used to be Condor Flats, which I don't know like why they even changed it. It became part of Grizzly Peak, but it is what it is. But I thought we'd sit down, have a little chat, discussing the 70th anniversary of Disneyland. This is the kickoff weekend. OG and I were here yesterday for the first day. Webba joined us today for day two. And this is actually going to be Webba's first time experiencing Paint the Night and Wondrous Journeys. We actually just came from lunch and we got our Paint the Night lanyards.
Special access.
Special access.
Thank you, Dana Walden. We appreciate you.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, and by the way, I do want to say there is a reason why they got rid of Condor Flats.
Oh, what was that?
Okay, so the reason being is because Condor Flats was a very landlocked land. You couldn't really expand because you were up against the downtown Disney area right here.
Okay.
And then you had Grizzly on that side.
Okay.
You couldn't really expand, so they figured, well, instead of having a land that you couldn't really do anything with it, it just enveloped into Grizzly and made it one bigger land.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, so anyway, we have our Paint the Night lanyards. We have a specific area that's going to be dedicated for us to see it. And from what the cast member told me, I actually think it's going to be where theme park conductor and Tommy Toon was standing last night. I believe it was by like some sort of cart. But yeah, it's specifically saved for us, so we have a guaranteed spot to see Paint the Night. And then afterwards, we have Wondrous Journeys. So, Webba, I'll start with you. What is your thought process of like what to expect for these two? Because you didn't see either one of these.
No, I did not see either one of these. Yeah, Paint the Night. I'm really excited for it because I have, like I said, never seen it. I'm not a big time parade person, but I do love nighttime entertainment, right? So Fantasmic, fireworks, nighttime parades like Main Street Electrical, right? Just Paint the Night just always kind of blew by me for some reason, but I'm really excited to see this. It looks amazing. Some of the videos and pictures I've seen. I didn't see a lot because I don't want to spoil myself, but I know everybody's hyped for this. And it's so funny that I haven't seen it yet because everybody else has. But yeah, I'm really excited for it, and it sounds like it's going to be a great parade.
Yeah, Paint the Night is really like a next gen electrical parade, and it was a fan favorite. It still is, right?
Yes.
The energy that we were last night for that parade.
You can cut it with a knife. It was so thick.
Oh, thicker than fog, dog.
Yes.
It was thick, and we're not even 3 minutes in. How do we do this? Every
time.
Every time. But yeah. It was the hype was through the roof, and I love that, man. That was one of the things I love about the El Cap, right? We went to the El Capitan. We saw the Goofy movie 30th anniversary, and at the El Cap, the fans were going nuts. They were singing along. They were reciting the lines.
Yes.
And it's fun to be around fellow Disney fans and have that sort of energy.
Yes.
And Paint the Night last night had that. Our good friend Theme Park Wizard just today posted on X that he teared up when the lights went out and the music went on for Paint the Night. So
a lot of people did. I've heard it from a lot of people.
Yeah.
Like when the music came on, I think our good friend Kev or Mr. Tech Bear said that he actually got a little bit kind of like it gave him the chills. Like they actually see the lights go down and the music come up, and yeah.
Well, I want to say, because even though I haven't seen it, it sounds like this is kind of like a nostalgic theme almost, right? Because it came out. What year did this parade come out?
2015.
Okay, so 2015. Yeah. So it's been about like 10 years.
10 years.
Right?
10 years.
So that is a long time. I know it kind of came back here and there, right? But it sounds like that this is a very missed parade, and this is something that is like a very Disney magical entertainment nighttime thing, and a lot of people love it. In which I don't understand this, right? Speaking of Paint the Night, why does Disney like have a really cool thing come out and then they take it away? But I don't understand. Just keep the cool thing, like with World of Color. You have a bunch of different variations of it, but the original World of Color was the best version.
Oh, okay. I'm glad you actually
We're going
brought
to talk
that up.
about that today.
We're going to talk about that because we have our thoughts on World of Color happiness, aka World of Color depression.
Well, real quick before you dive into that, because that's a whole can of worms.
That's a whole nother.
That's a whole thing. We're going to talk about it. But to answer your question, why did they? And this is what's really kind of shitty on Disney's part.
Yeah.
Why do they take things away? Same thing. Why we're sitting right next to California Soarin'.
Yes.
Or
Soarin'. It's soaring over the world.
Yeah, right now, soaring over the world. Same reason why they changed it to the world, and they make California like the seasonal thing.
Yeah.
It's they kind of keep that in their back pocket as like something to sell you later.
Yeah.
So
Because everybody would prefer soaring over California.
Right.
So it's like, why keep the most popular thing? And then for seasonal, oh, we'll give you soaring around the world. Oh, who cares?
Right. So
Like,
I get that, but at the same time, though, you're Disney, right? As you know, Disney, especially as fans, we expect high quality product, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So if the better version is one that people like, right? Why take it away? You're taking away the better quality product and giving a inferior product.
Yeah.
So that doesn't make any sense. I understand what you're saying on
Yeah.
Disney's half, but that mindset to me is just crappy for like all the guests. that
well, and
come in.
especially
100%.
too, like I would have just kept soaring over California over here permanently, and just do soaring over the world down at Epcot because it fits that theme. You know, Epcot is about world culture and celebrating different countries and people. It fits better over here. It's just the park of California.
Right.
So it's like, and they got rid of the orange groves, bro. I mean,
Come
What's
on
up with
now.
that, man?
Come on now.
Orange Grove 55. Come on.
There's no love. There's no love for Orange Grove 55 over here at Disney. I don't know what it is. Maybe because I'm a Universal guy now.
Oh,
Yeah.
maybe,
Because
right,
I've been to FanFest twice. That's probably why.
yeah, that's it.
That's
yeah.
it. That's it.
He went to FanFest twice, so they're like, you know what, 86 soaring over California.
Yeah, he's done.
They're like, you know what? Yeah, oh, 55. Cancel him out.
Yeah, cancel him out. Cancel his special access immediately. Absolutely
Yeah.
immediately. But should we dive into World of Color Happiness?
Let's dive into watercolor depression.
Do you
Yeah,
mind?
let's
Do you mind getting into spoilers with that or not?
I don't mind.
You don't care? Okay.
You're not really missing much. Anyway, so we actually did well today, as you can see. We did the dining package for Paint the Night, which was over at Plaza Inn, which was kind of strange in itself because the way that it was done, everything had to be kind of like prepaid a little
Yeah.
bit, like right then and there. Anyway, we got the meatloaf and all that stuff. It was good, it was decent. Over yesterday, but we did the dining package for World of Color Happiness, and we ate at the Magic Key Terrace, which, by the way, phenomenal food, phenomenal service. I love the just the atmosphere.
100%. And I don't know if it's. Am I out of pocket to mention the waitress's name there? Because I thought she was great.
No, she's phenomenal. Yeah.
Okay. I want to say Jet. Her name was Jet. I believe.
Jet.
Jet at the Magic Key Terrace was absolutely phenomenal. Massive cast compliment right now.
Yes.
She was really, really fun, really
Yes.
cool. Definitely shot her a compliment on the app as well because I
Yes.
think she's amazing. But yeah, great service, great food.
Yes.
At the roasted chicken, it was amazing.
Yes, and they gave him a whole chicken. It was like a whole little mini fried chicken.
Yeah, it was absolutely great. But yeah, we did that. So we went over there. Now for that one, it was more like traditional. Like we just kind of
Yeah, it's like traditional where you sit at the table, they give you the menus, you pick a starter, an entree, and then you get the dessert. So so yeah, they give you a starter, an entree, and then the dessert, which is the gray stuff. So you can kind of like pick. So it's
and the gray stuff was delicious.
it was delicious. Yes.
And if you don't believe me, you can ask the dishes.
There you go. And then afterwards, we split the checks of like our own orders, and then we paid. Where with the Plaza Inn, it was like prepay everything like right at the register, and then you take the receipt, you give it to the server, they make the plates up, they give you a salad, meatloaf, and then a little, I guess, like a chocolate
Like the
cake
certain
kind of
Oh,
thing.
George, real quick, before you continue.
Yes.
I also want to mention too that for the package, they do take Magic Key discounts.
Yes, they do. Yes. So anyway, so the experience for the dining for World of Color Happiness was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Now let's get into the actual show itself. Now, mind you, too, this was at a time we did the second show because we saw the first Paint the Night. It was late. It was a long day. We were tired. We were sore and everything. I get that, but that should have no hindrance of like how, I'm sorry, kind of bad this show was. I'm sorry, I have to say it, but I will give some credit and praise where it's due. The Muppets pre-show.
Oh, dude.
Literally, that was the show for me. Like literally, they could have done a whole entire like Muppets takeover of World of Color.
Oh, it would have been brilliant.
That would have been phenomenal.
They did that Muppets pre-show was so off the chain incredible.
Yeah.
And it was so brilliantly written. And it was almost like a tribute to Muppet Vision.
In a
Because
way,
it was
yeah.
like the whole storyline for Muppet Vision 4D was like the Muppets are getting ready for the big show or the
Yes.
big finale or whatever.
Right.
With Sam the Eagle and all that stuff.
Yes.
And this was that same kind of vibe. We're getting ready for the big show.
Yes.
Panic. Oh, what are we going to do? You know, that whole thing.
Yes.
And then you had the little otter. He's like a lawyer. And he's giving all the legal spiels as what
Yeah.
they can and can't do.
Yeah.
It was freaking amazing. It was like maybe 5 minutes.
Yes.
If I'm with George, if they would have just had that and just that 5 to 7 minute thing,
Yeah.
I would have been satisfied.
Fine.
Yeah.
I would have been fine.
Then the show starts. Now here's the thing. I kind of disagree with George a little bit. I don't think the show was terrible, but to me it was mid, just like every other World of Color 2.0. It's that mid sort of like, okay, whatever kind of,
Mhm.
you know, like was
Right.
it bad? No. Was it good? No. That mid, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Now the reason why I label it as terrible, because here's why. I actually would have preferred World of Color 1 for me. And for me, it seems like it's just like progressing down lower and lower when it comes to World of Color. Now I feel like the next World of Color, I'm going to miss World of Color Happiness. Like, and it's like, I get what they were trying to do with the emotions from Inside Out. Of course, it's a hot franchise right now.
Right.
Inside Out 2 was the highest grossing film of 2024. You know, I get it. But it didn't like resonate a story well of like what it was like supposed to portray for like the 70th anniversary, because they did all these things with the emotions, and then right at the very end you hear Walt Disney come on and say, "To all who come to this happy place, welcome." And I'm like, that's kind of cringy, not of Walt, but it's like what came before that. Like, give us something of a dedication of like what is the 70th about in its own way. And that's where I get frustrated with DCA, because of course everything's going to happen over at Disneyland. I get it. It's its own anniversary, but it's like, okay, well, what can we do for DCA to get on it? Let's just like mash something up together, and then we'll just call it a day. That's what I felt like they did with World of Color.
World of Color. Because here's the thing with World of Color Happiness, I actually really enjoy the Rainbow Connection.
That, yes.
Right? And the Boys to Men can sing the phone book and it can be brilliant. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I mean, they are extremely talented dudes. But like the thing is like for Rainbow Connection, that ties in directly to the World of Color with the World of Color, the rainbows.
Yes.
So I wouldn't mind a World of Color 1.0 coming back and have them integrating the Rainbow Connection maybe in the original show.
Exactly. Yes.
I don't mind change, but do it in a smart way.
Yes.
And then maybe even have like the Muppet pre-show as part of that.
Yes.
But this whole happiness show with the emotions, it just didn't work for me. And I'm a huge Inside Out fan. I thought the second movie was brilliant.
I agree.
I loved it. It hit close to home for me. I suffer from anxiety, so I'm all about it, you know.
Yep.
And
he and her have the same hair.
and we have the same hair, exactly. So it's like, come on, you know, it's relatable.
Well,
Go ahead.
Sorry, OG.
No,
I
you're
think
good.
this is like kind of on another topic, but it leads into it though, which is where again I agree with you. I don't mind change.
Right.
The problem is for me is when the change is inferior to what was already there before.
Right.
Exactly.
You know, and I feel like with World of Color, like George, to your point, it kind of just keeps going
Down,
down.
yeah.
You know, and it's like why? Like especially when the original one was
It's
the
getting
best one.
it's getting watered down. No pun intended.
Mhm.
You know, so it's like, and that's what I'm saying. Like, so what is the next World of Color? Like, if this one is, and I hate using that term like it's terrible and everything. Just for me, like obviously you take the young kids, you take everyone was laughing, having a good time, but it's just like compared to the original, and I dare I say it, compared to World of Color 1, I'm sorry, World of Color 1 was better than this one, but nothing will beat the original World of Color.
One of the things I didn't like about World of Color Happiness, and this is me, I'm typically not a big fan of this kind of stuff. The whole like sing along, everybody, and then they put the words on the
Yeah, like the bouncing ball, like what
kind of
you
vibe,
sing,
right?
Yeah,
Where the
like
words,
a karaoke kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm not into that. I want a more. That's a little too fourth wall, a little too meta for me.
Mm.
You know, I don't know.
because it's bringing you as an audience in it.
Yes.
You know, it's like, well, no, as an audience, I don't want to be part of I don't want to be brought into the show. You know, I want to be amazed and razzle dazzle
right,
by the show that's happening in front of me, right?
100%.
You know, it's kind of like if Fantastic was like, hey, OG, here's Mickey Mouse, come up on stage. you know, or whatever.
It's
you know?
weird, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. I don't like all that meta, like, hey, audience, why don't you come and sing along with us? It's
Yeah.
like, it's cheesy, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, like you said, Eva, like with Phantasmic, it's like you're witnessing this kind of magical thing happen.
Yeah.
And they're not like, it's not like this weird incorporation of the audience, but Disney's all about that right now. Even with like Avengers Campus, the whole thing is like, yeah, we're gonna train you to be a superhero, you know, and all that stuff. It's like, no, I don't want that. Like, it's like Indiana Jones Adventure. Like, you just want to go on this adventure.
Exactly.
Like, I don't want to be like.
But that's how they almost ended up with Galaxy's Edge. You know, it's
Right.
supposed to be like this kind of huge, like kind of cosplay. You live
Live
out
your
your
Star
Star
Wars.
Wars.
Well,
Yeah.
but that's what the hotel was. The hotel was a whole LARPing thing.
Yeah.
You know, you go in there, and you know, it's like for me as a guest, I just want to go in the hotel. Yes, I want to be immersed and have the theming and stuff, but I don't want to be like role playing in the hotel though.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
There are times, like there are
Well, there are
certain
times- there are-
activities that it does work.
Well, yeah, role playing in a hotel. I mean, you've done it, right?
Oh, many times. Yeah.
but you know, outside of that, right?
Yes.
George was a Star Wars.
Yeah.
He comes out like a Twilight.
Oh yeah.
He's like, Abby, put on our song, and then you hear that.
Oh, that's great.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's great. Now I wanted to dive into the crowd levels that are
Okay.
here right now. Now yesterday the crowds were literally in the stores. I think everything. I think Kev, our good friend Kev, said it best that everyone came in the morning to get the merch and then left, and then because it kind of like withered down like during the day where it just seemed like normal park operations, and then in the evening
Bolstered.
everybody like came back. But you had like the morning people because the Emporium was a madhouse. Like I think they even put it went over the capacity. Like you could not move. Like in there, like everyone was like in there to get the key to Disneyland, which that was fun. We got to do that with theme park conductor and Tommy Toon, where we went around Disneyland Park, you know, unlocking the magic, so to speak, and getting our pins and everything. So that was really cool. That was fun. But even today, like for it being a Saturday, it seems like I mean, there's people here. It's good. It's healthy, but it seems like a normal, healthy park day. It doesn't seem like the overabundance that I was anticipating. Now, my theory is it makes me think that because the Walt animatronic was not going to premiere with the 70th, and it's going to open with actual Disneyland's birthday, and also with the last verse for It's a Small World, and they're also going to have like extra things going on for Disney's birthday. That I feel like with that not being included, people were like, you know, as far as like maybe that don't have like reservations left and they had to pick and choose, and it's like, okay, I'd rather just wait and experience Paint the Night, the Tapestry of Happiness, World of Color Happiness, don't know why, but okay. um Whatever floats your boat, the Walt animatronic, so they want to just experience it all at once, like one big package with a big bow, no pun intended.
It makes sense though, right?
Yeah.
Because I think once those come out, it's gonna be a madhouse.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
And it's going to be a madhouse in an area that's usually, I mean, other than like the what is it, the Disney Anna um, stuff that drops, or like the paintings and stuff. But other than that, in that area by the flagpole is usually not a whole lot of commute of traffic. But this with the Walt animatronic, that's going to draw in some crowds.
You know, I wonder. Do we know if for like the great moments with Mr. Lincoln, like the show building, do we know if they're going to do like any like queue like expansion or like
Well,
redoing the queue?
our good friend Bricky, shout out to Bricky. We got to hang out with him yesterday. Awesome dude.
Yeah.
We did a reaction video on his where he was talking about like where are you going to put all these people?
Well, that's my question,
Right.
Where are you going to put this?
So he was thinking that they may open up some backstage area and having it as like a holding queue. So he said about around 500 people can fit in the theater.
Okay.
So it's like obviously you would have like I guess in increments of 500 people at a time, up to 500 at a time, and then you'd have them in a holding place, and then you just move them in. But then where then you going to put the next 500 and the next 500? So I don't know if you would just use all of the backstage, or do you think for a short period of time, do you both think that they could possibly do a virtual queue with
Well, that could be it. But here's my question though: what in Disney's time length? What's a short period of time? Because if this is because this sounds like it's going to be a very popular thing, right? I mean, you have Walt Disney Audio Animatronic,
that?
right?
Yes.
So is this going to be like a popular theme for the next like 5 to 10 years? And,
I
and,
think
and
it is, but I don't think
because here's
I
the
don't
thing.
think the demand's going to be as high as like it first started.
Okay, I can see that, right? But then if they can move stuff from backstage to put people in there, I wonder if that's the case, I wonder if they'll just make that a permanent like in park themed queue space for the attraction to hold all the extra guests who are going to want to go in there.
Yeah, that's something that they're gonna have to think about. I mean, if
Yeah.
this is something that is consistently popular for years and
It
years,
is true.
you might have to build a permanent queue space. I mean, temporary stuff you can kind of accommodate that. Like
Right.
Bricky has a lot. Go check out Hey Bricky, or actually it's a Bricky vlog.
Bricky vlog.
Bricky,
Yes.
his new channel, the Bricky vlog. Check it out. He dives into that. We reacted to it here, or not here, but on my channel, Orange Go 55. We reacted to it, George and I. 55. So check it out. But like he talks about all the logistics of like taking something that is like, I mean, Lincoln it's a treasure of an attraction,
Yeah.
but it's really not that popular. The
Yeah.
Walt thing is going to be massive. And where do you put that? And he kind of dives into all that. So
And it also makes me think, because speaking of Lincoln, when Lincoln does eventually come back,
Yeah.
because I think that they're going to wait like a year, probably like after the celebration. Walt's going to stick around, but I think it's going to be after the 18 months of the celebration. They'll bring back Lincoln, and then they'll rotate the shows. Now, I know when they say rotate the shows, I don't necessarily know if they mean rotate it throughout the day, or if they pick one day all Walt, next day all Lincoln. So if they do that and it really still is popular, the demand for the Walt show is going to go even higher,
Yeah.
because then you're only going to have select times or days
yeah,
to see him.
Well, see, I think in my opinion, the best thing to do would to rotate it. Like if you have one show with Lincoln, next show's Walt, then next show's Lincoln, next show's Walt, right?
Yeah.
Because one, that gives you a repeatability thing to go back and try to. You're like, okay, am I going to get Walt or Lincoln this time, right?
Yeah.
But the other thing is like that if you go on one day, let's say you're from out of state, right, or whatever, you're like,
Yeah.
oh, I really want to see this Walt Disney animatronic, but they're doing it by day, and all of a sudden, oh look, you have Lincoln for today.
And that would make sense, because that was the whole point why they built that rotating theater. Like they literally broke down the whole entire theater and rebuilt it, and for it to kind of have like a rotation where it has like that carousel of progress kind of way where it literally rotates between Walt and Lincoln. So yeah, I would think if they went that through that trouble, they could just rotate it daily. Like however,
Now, here's the other thing is that with audio animatronics, guys.
oh,
Okay,
here we go.
There
here
we
we
go.
go. Okay, audio
There we go.
animatronics, right? We know how scary this stuff gets because whenever Disney opens up a new attraction, these audio animatronics are very state of the art, tend to malfunction and break down. So I really hope with this Walt one that does not happen.
No, you're right, Eva. And this is a huge concern because if you're going to have the founder of the company, Walt Disney, being represented in animatronic form, and you have that animatronic glitching on stage, or his head won't move, or his mouth doesn't move, or something, that's a horrible look.
Yeah.
I mean, you really have to do right by the owner, not the owner, but the founder of the company, and really make this the best AA you've ever done.
Yeah.
And plus, there's a lot. Let's be real. I mean, there's a lot of like, Seymour calls them the grifters, so to speak, right? Who they're just looking for stuff to pounce on with Disney.
Yeah.
So you have a Walt animatronic out there that's malfunctioning. It's giving these people kind of ammunition to sort of like use and like showcase.
Yeah.
Oh, look at this, look at this, look at this, and Disney doesn't need any more of that crap, So I think it's really important they really nail this thing. It has to look like Walt. It's going to sound like Walt. They're using his audio, which is fantastic, but it has to be reliable. This thing cannot be breaking down all the time. It can't be out there glitching, malfunctioning, and saying, Josh Dumaro lines. It has to actually be a working Walt Disney animatronic that looks like him, and then the sound is on point.
Yeah.
And, I get it. I mean, there's always going to be moments with anything tech that there's something's going to break.
Right. And
But
if
consistent, though, you got to be consistent.
Exactly. And I think that if that does happen, then it's best to just make sure, like ahead of time, if something seems like it's not working, canceled that particular show. And I feel like having the Lincoln show with it actually works to its in its benefit, because just to say, if the Walt animatronic really isn't working well that day, they could say, hey, you know what, we have the Lincoln show, we'll just use that for right now, or vice versa.
Yeah, because the attraction's still open.
Right.
You know, so and here's kind of like, I guess you could say, in my opinion, like the kind of saving grace for the Walt Disney Audio animatronic in terms of it breaking down is that it's not like in a like ride attraction where it's, yeah, I'm not a ride engineer or anything like that, but there's not like any kind of timing or sensors this thing has to go off based off vehicles or whatnot or scenes, right? This is, it's on a stage, you know, they have it played out. I'm sure there's sensors and different stuff that would work for that, but I feel like it would probably break down less than something like Tiana's, where you have a cycle of guests coming through every like 5 seconds or something, and it has to constantly repeat itself. Where that, I think with Waltz, it won't be as hard on the machine or on the machinery for that.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think that's might be the saving grace for the Walt animatronic.
Yeah. No, well said. Yeah, it's interesting. So the 17th, we're gonna get the Walt thing.
Yep.
Animatronic. We're gonna get the Richard Sherman missing verse added to Small
Yes.
World. Speaking of Small World, George and I, we went on Small World earlier today. We did see Miguel,
Yes.
and I do apologize. What's the name of that?
The dog.
Yes,
Dante.
Dante. I always forget the dog's name, and I'm a huge dog person, so I'm really disappointed in myself.
How
But
dare you?
I know. but Miguel and Dante look absolutely incredible.
Yes.
Like really good. So
they stand out, but it's very subtle. Like they fit in perfectly.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, it looks great. It looks absolutely great.
But I'm very curious to see how they're going to incorporate the final verse.
I don't know if they're just going to make maybe like the end,
like right when you're like exiting, like in the boat,
right?
And you have like one, because when you watch the little trailer, I guess you can call it, like about like the Richard Sherman that they had at the tribute at D23, they had one child singing that final verse. So instead of having like all the kids sing it in unison, just like at the end part of the finale, like as the song is wrapping up, like it's the song is stopping, you have that one child sing that final verse.
So are you implying that it's going to be in the ride, of course, as part of the song, but it's more like kind of like an exit of the attraction tribute?
Yes, still on the ride.
Yeah.
But like right before you go like through, like as you're exiting out of the tunnel to go back outside,
Right.
that's where I think they're going to have the child singing. I could be wrong. I just think that's where it would be. I think it'd be a little bit more of an easy transition, especially since they just opened the ride, and they're going to have to, get it up and running literally for July 17th. So now I could be wrong. I don't know like how else they would incorporate it already with the singing, because when you already have the spiel kind of going off through the whole entire ride, it has to be timed.
What if it's the regular Small World the whole way,
right?
But that finale scene when all the characters are in white.
Oh, that's
the finale scene is his missing verse.
That they can do, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Something towards the end,
Right.
because when you're traveling through the rest of the ride,
to weave it in,
it's not going to work. And then also too, you have the kids singing in their own languages,
yeah.
so it, I think that's going to be much harder. So I think to kind of like cap off the ride, I feel like at the end it's going to be like that that final verse. And as I said, they had the one child singing it in like the little preview kind of thing that they had for Richard Sherman's tribute. I think that's going to be like the one child. They already have it pre-recorded. They'll have like one doll somewhere.
So I have a question, right?
Yeah.
Hot take right here.
Okay.
Well, not really a hot take, but a hot take question, right? How would you guys feel if Disney sneakily put a Richard Sherman doll in It's a Small World?
Oh, that's interesting.
So like as a child, like in the child form, but like on the piano
or something.
Okay. I mean, if done tastefully,
yeah, I'd be okay,
with that. If it was like one of those things where, like, if it's a doll, not a piano, maybe like that's something that like the nerds would know.
Yeah.
But like the general public, it wouldn't stand out.
It wouldn't stand out.
So it's like a nice little nod. It's kind of like the window in the firehouse that's always lit.
Yes.
It's there. We all know why.
Yeah.
But the soccer mom ain't knowing what that is. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
They're walking by. They don't know. So the Richard Sherman thing that you're saying is a cool idea and it would be something that kind of fun, like that, like we as like diehard fans would be like,
Yes.
oh, okay, that's a cool little nod to Richard.
And-
But maybe have both brothers.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna add another hot take, so to speak, to your hot take.
Okay.
And I mentioned this actually on Orange Grove 55, but I'm going to mention it on here, that I would love, because I feel like with the Walt animatronic, this is going to be the start of the possibility of maybe adding a Walt Disney in Walt Disney World, like in a sense. So I thought, well, what could they do? Where could they put him? Because essentially, he wasn't around when Walt Disney World was built, so you can't like put him in too much of a setting that because it's appropriate here because he lived in Disneyland. This was his second home. But it's like, well, where can you still put him that it would honor him? And speaking of the Sherman Brothers, I think honestly, as an introductory to the Carousel of Progress, have a Walt Disney audio animatronic, have the Sherman Brothers audio animatronic with the piano on stage
Great.
with that scene singing "A Great Big Beautiful
No,
Tomorrow."
that'd be beautiful. I would love that.
Now, sorry, OG.
No, you go ahead.
So, because you know how we've been getting like these Walt statues kind of in each park?
Yes.
But to your point, would that be a kind of now progression of each park getting its own Walt Disney audio animatronic?
Yeah,
Yes.
I think it's similar to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but and here's the thing: just like the statues, you have to be very careful.
Correct.
You have to, because there comes a point, and I've said that many times, where like a fine line between like honoring the man
And like it, like
exploiting him.
Right.
You know, like, oh, now we're just kind of using him for like, kind of.
Yeah, you don't want to have like a Walt Disney like lollipop where you're like sucking on his head. You know.
Yeah,
it's
definitely
like,
not. Definitely not.
You know, it's
George, I think head was the wrong word.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. I think so, bro.
You said it, George.
Yeah, you did. You did.
guilty.
Woo. Oh man. George's like guilty. But yeah, no, you're right. You know what? You don't want to have that.
Yes,
None
that.
of that business. None of that business. Oh, that's funny. But
Nothing like business. Nothing like business, like show business.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Okay, I have one more question for you.
Yes.
When it comes time for because I mentioned it in the beginning of our recording, we didn't really get to talk about it, but Wondrous Journeys.
Oh, right.
You didn't get to see Wondrous Journeys.
No, and so I will explain why. Because I've already told these fine gentlemen here why I haven't seen it. But at Disneyland, right, I think the one thing that Magic Kingdom has over Disneyland is the fireworks. Because here at Disneyland, if there's a slight breeze in the air, then the fireworks are canceled.
Yeah.
And when Wondrous Journeys was happening, the fireworks were constantly being canceled, at least each time when I was here, unfortunately. So I never really got to see it. So hopefully, if they're doing it tonight, then maybe we can see it tonight.
Hopefully.
Fingers crossed, because I want to see this because I've been hearing from these two guys
Oh.
how amazing it is.
Yes.
It's Eb, I'm telling you, it is an absolute love letter to Disney animation,
Yes.
and every single film is represented.
Yes.
Now, not their own segment necessarily,
Right.
but
They subtly stick them in.
Right.
It's kind of
Yeah.
like in the,
sometimes a movie might only have a character
Yeah.
in the show, but every movie from the last 100 years is represented here.
And they even incorporated Treasure Planet. in
Oh,
it.
and that's one of the best parts.
Yes, it is.
whoa.
Treasure
Yeah.
Planet's even one of the best parts, dude. I mean, that's a banger scene.
That is a banger scene.
That's a banger.
Yeah.
Even Chicken Little, bro.
Well, see, well, see, you know what's great about that though is when Disney includes this kind of older or not as well known liked movies or whatever, is that it shows that when they're making these nighttime shows, the people who are making this, right, the Imagineers and stuff, they're still looking at this IP.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
where can we put this, right?
Yes.
So I like that it's still kind of in the consciousness of the Imagineers still.
Yes.
100%.
So hopefully, at least sometime in the future, we can get some of these other IPs right into the
Hopefully.
park somehow.
I hope so, man. I've been saying for a long time, if Disney's gonna do these live action remakes, remake some of the animated films that did not do well before.
Yes.
Like give these stories a second chance.
Yes.
Treasure Planet would be a dope live action,
And so would Atlantis.
and so would
Oh,
Atlantis.
yes, Atlantis.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So do live action. Those movies, live action,
And Chicken Little.
and Chicken Little live action. And that's what we've all been asking for. That's what we need. Come on now.
But I would say in terms of fireworks, my Well, we'll see about the show tonight.
Yeah.
But my favorite fireworks show still is the 50th anniversary.
Oh,
Fireworks.
that's an
Yes.
incredible show.
Yes.
What is it called? Forever Dreams Come True? Or something?
Remember.
Oh,
dreams,
Remember
dreams come true.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's an amazing show. This one is like everyone has like either like a tier list. It's like either it's Remember or Wondrous.
Okay.
Either one or two.
Oh man,
Nice,
so it's,
yeah.
it's that good.
It's that good.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
that good.
It's that good.
What is your? I don't know if you've seen. I know you have, but what do you guys think of Disneyland Forever for that was the 60th?
Well,
The one that starts off like with the you're standing
in an orange grove.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a little partial. I'm a little biased for that.
yeah
A little, I'm a little too close to that situation. I don't know if I can fully give you my full opinion. No, I'm just kidding. No, that beginning scene is amazing.
Yeah.
Because it's like, when they projection map all the orange trees
yeah
Right?
on the castle.
and the castle and on
Yeah.
Main Street.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, they
and
do
on Main Street, and they're all blossoming and stuff, and they're like, over 60 years ago, a man stood here in an orange grove,
Yeah.
and it known to become Disneyland, Magic Kingdom.
Yeah.
That's amazing. But then it goes into like this whole thing where like, okay, now we're gonna show you Tangled. Now we're gonna show you Jungle Book. It's like, okay, this
See,
really has nothing to do.
That's my problem with World of Color Happiness. That's where it circles around, where they did all these kind of like kooky, crazy kind of things with the emotions.
Yeah.
And then right at the end, you hear Walt's voice saying, "To all who come to this happy place, welcome." It's like, where's the correlation?
Well, see, and that's why I loved the original World of Color was because there was an actual kind of story-driven element to the original plot point of World of Color, right? There was an idea behind the show.
Right. There was like a through line, and it kind of all made sense.
Yes, exactly. And then as I start messing with the show for like different events or whatever, or I start upgrading it, right, to different versions,
Yeah.
now you're losing that of what the original idea was supposed to be.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, because I want to ask you guys and then everybody at home this, right? Why do we need to change World of Color? Okay, because let me ask this. Because,
That's what he said.
because
last night.
seriously, we have Fantasmic, right? Fantasmic opened up in 1992,
Right.
right? It's been the same show, besides some of the upgrades, in there, right?
But pretty much same show.
But yeah, same show, same storyline, right? Why are we changing World of Color constantly? I get it, we can do it, but is this a case where should we do it, right?
I don't mind doing it, but yeah, like just to what we were talking about earlier, don't do it unless you have like a strong probable cause to do it.
Well, and the weird thing to me is that they do it, but it's not even like the World of Color. Like I can see if like it was World of Color, and then they kept the World of Color theme song, but they changed the IP.
Yes.
But
Right, yeah.
right.
Yeah,
But these new World of Color shows don't even have the.
It doesn't
World
even
of Color.
start-
It
yeah.
doesn't even mention World of
Like I
Color.
love how it started off with the color.
Right.
Walt Disney's Wonderful World of Color.
But they don't even do that anymore.
No, they don't do
So
that.
why? So you have the show called World of Color that doesn't even you represent the show, the World of Color IP anymore,
Right.
and that bothers me.
Yeah, no, me too, because
Right?
it doesn't make any sense.
It
Like,
doesn't make any sense.
yeah, it's just annoying. So it's just like, and here's the thing again: if you're gonna change something, again, not opposed to change. However, do we need to change World of Color? And if you're going to change it, like anything else, it has to be a superior version.
Right.
Yes.
100%.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
they haven't really landed anything for me with the World of Color, the 2.0s,
Oh, absolutely. It's for me. It's been the original.
the original,
That's
the
it.
whole time.
Yeah.
Now I did like actually, and I might be in the minority here. They did switch out the Chernobog fire scene early on, and they made that pirates.
Oh yeah.
I was actually okay with that change. I thought the pirate replacement was actually pretty cool. I was fine with that. I like both versions, the Chernobog and the pirate. I thought that was well done. But everything else, man, like I'm just like this happiness show, the World of Color one,
Yeah.
even like the holiday versions.
Yeah.
I'm
I
just
didn't
like,
really.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
I don't
And
know.
I get it. It's always a risk to try something different and new.
And they should try.
And
new
they
stuff.
should.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, you have to do stuff with finesse and taste and not just go by what's popular. Because, yes, as we said before, Inside Out and Inside Out 2 are two popular, high quality films. But that doesn't mean that it should carry a show like World of Color.
Well, right, and I think the issue is, again, this is no slam on Imagineers, right?
Right.
I think they do a fantastic job. However, I think this is when you look at something that's popular and you put it out there just for the sake of it being popular. Okay, so for example, this was a pet peeve of mine. When Pirates of the Caribbean first came out, right? I love the first three movies. I love them. However, when that came out, Disneyland was doing Pirates of the Caribbean everything. You know, like there was Pirates of the Caribbean, like they were adding the stuff in the attraction. Then they did the theme of Fantasmic. Then they had all the fireworks. It was like pirates. And I was like, I'm getting kind of sick of the pirate stuff. You
Right.
guys are putting too much of this pirate stuff in here.
Yeah.
But it's like they go off successful IPs, which I understand. but it has to flow and make sense in the show if you're trying to integrate it into something that's already there.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. They go overboard with it. No pun intended with the pirate joke.
Yes,
Overboard.
overboard.
But they go overboard, and it's just, they go too far. And like they did the same thing with Frozen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because Frozen's a great movie. It's a great franchise.
But when you beat it with a stick, it's like
right.
so many times over and over again, and it's like,
And we've had complaints about Universal with that with Minions. We just talked about
yes,
Oh
that.
yeah.
Yeah. So these companies do that because they're gonna milk these franchises, as much as they can. But like, there has to be some restraint here because then you wear people out on it.
yeah,
You
I agree.
So
Yeah. Well, actually, just kind of throwing in a little loop here, going to Walt Disney World real quick about their Fantasmic, right? George, I complained to you about this.
Yes.
And this is, I saw that they had updated their Fantasmic, right?
Mm-hmm.
But because they took out the Pocahontas stuff, they put in the
Correct.
Moana and whatever, right?
Yeah.
My problem is it's not the IPs being in there. My problem is how they were executed, being put in there.
Correct.
It just doesn't really make any sense
Yeah.
for me. So I guess again, this is like where you're taking IP that are popular, just putting them in the
Again,
show.
you're just mashing it up because
Yeah.
with that segment, it's like you took a whole Pocahontas scene and you turned it into like these little film moments.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like you had like Moana, then you had Elsa, then you had Mulan, and then you had Aladdin.
But it made no sense.
But it made no sense. There was no consistency. It was like just taking a moment of those particular films, having it, and then it just segueing into the next.
Yeah, I feel like there's some sort of like committee or some sort of corporate mandate where they're like, okay, we need this franchise, and this franchise, and we need this many minutes or screen time for each of these. Like, I feel like the corporate end of it, or the analytics of the whole thing, is sort of getting in the way of the creative process.
I agree.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because that's something that would not be done by Disney
Davison.
Entertainment. No, Steve Davison. That's not his.
Back in that
thing.
day, Steve Davison really was on point with that. I mean, he did a lot of great stuff.
Yes.
But I feel like nowadays it's like everything is so like, okay, Moana's the number one thing. There's like a 3 billion freaking watch minutes on Disney Plus.
Mm-hmm.
We need this amount of minutes for Moana in Fantasmic now.
Put it in there.
Put it in there, and then you have these creatives that are trying to shoehorn this thing in.
Yeah.
And it's like it's not working.
Yeah.
No, yeah. So I hope Disney I hope that they get away from that practice.
Me too.
Because it just, in a creative sense, it doesn't work. Storytelling, it doesn't work. These shows, whether it's like a World of Color or a Fantasmic, whatever, these shows need to have a consistency of like a plot.
Yeah.
And the scenes have to go from scene to scene organically.
Exactly.
And like
it has to flow nicely.
Right. And with Fantasmic at Walt Disney World, it doesn't. And then with the color here, when they keep changing it, these scenes to me aren't flowing in an organic manner.
Right.
Yeah.
With the original World of Color, they did.
Oh, it did. It flowed perfectly, and I love that beginning. The color, it was a beautiful tribute to the old TV show, and they brought that old TV show and that old concept into like this colorful fountain show.
And Richard Sherman was even part of the premiere of the first World of Color. He was there as a special guest because he and his brother created that song.
Yeah, well, because I remember watching. I don't remember who it was, but the creatives talking about the idea for World of Color, right? Like the kind of behind the scenes making World of Color.
I think it was part of the Imagineering story.
Okay, I think so.
Yeah.
But I was like, wow, this is a
On
really
Disney
cool
Plus.
concept.
Disney Plus.
All right. But it was a really cool concept. But now I feel like they've gotten away from that, as we were saying.
Yeah.
It's like, no, bring that back, right? I want to see this in the park. Now here's the other thing though, is if you want to make like special kind of event shows, maybe. Because that was hard because you only have that one leg to do it, right?
Right.
Maybe just do a whole different event show. Like I know it'll take a lot of money because you got to program it and all that stuff. But maybe make a whole separate show that isn't World of Color.
There you go.
Okay.
Do that. Exactly. There's ways around this stuff. If Disney wants to have an ever-evolving kind of separate ancillary thing, show, do that.
Yeah, don't call. I think you're right. I think that's the issue that kind of gets lost in translation for me. Is they have these different kind of shows, but they keep calling it World of Color. World of Color 1, World of Color Happiness, World of Color this, World of Color that. Like, just call it something different. Like we were talking about, like having the Muppets again. I guess it's just like in our minds of saying, oh yeah, have the Muppets take over World of Color. No, don't even have them take over World of Color. Just have a Muppet nighttime show. That they have in that space.
Yeah. No, the Muppet thing I cannot stress enough. If you have not seen World of Color Happiness, the Muppet thing is worth it.
Yeah. Honestly, go see World of Color Happiness. Give us your overall
Yeah,
thoughts.
see for yourself because you might love it. Like just because we
Yeah.
didn't love it, because even George and I kind of differ. Like I think it was mid. George thinks it was bad, so we even differ on it. So
Yeah.
you might go see it, and you might love it. You know?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. But I want to thank you guys for joining us today, all you guys, and then you two, and of course you,
Mr. Webber in the
Mr.
house.
Webber.
Yes, sir.
Here.
Thank you so much, George, for having me on, and OG too. Here on Citrico Central, with the Italiano.
Yes. Yes, I want to thank you guys for joining us as well. Comment down below any of your thoughts, comments, opinions. We just ask you please keep it civil. And as I always say in Disney Italiano fashion, stay healthy, stay safe, stay Disney. Italiano